Hello, people of St. Bart's. My name is Bill Burns, and this Sunday I'm going to be preaching on the parable of the prodigal son, as told by Jesus in Luke 15. It's one of the more familiar stories in Scripture. Rembrandt painted this painting, The Return of the Prodigal Son, being inspired by the parable. The author Henry Nouwen, after spending several days with the painting, where it hangs in the museum in St. Petersburg, wrote his book, The Return of the Prodigal Son, in which he looks at the meaning of the parable, as well as what that has to say to his own story, to Rembrandt's own story, and looking at and analyzing the details of the painting to see how Rembrandt captured those aspects of the story. It's a deeply personal parable for me, as well as an influential book by Henry Nouwen, so much so that a reproduction of the painting hangs on the wall in my living room, where I'm standing right now, as well as on the wall of the waiting room of my counseling office. Hardly a week goes by when this parable doesn't come up in conversation with clients. And the reason for that is simple. We all struggle to understand the nature and reality of God's love for us. Whether you tend to identify with the more rebellious younger brother of the parable, or whether you tend to identify with the dutiful, well-behaved older brother of the parable. Life has a way of bringing us frustration, grief, disappointment, loss. All these things that challenge whether our hearts truly believe the things that we might say with our mouths. When we experience these painful things, they touch on the very deepest longings of our hearts, a longing to be deeply known, to be valued, to matter to other people, to be enjoyed simply for being who we are. And so as we look at the parable, we're going to look at exactly what it has to say to us about God's love for us, exactly what God may want to say to each one of you about just how he feels about you. And then finally, we'll look at what I think is the most challenging aspect of the parable, that as we grow in understanding God's love, will we accept the invitation to become the Father. So, look forward to being with you. We'll see you soon.